Does your printer's heat bed and extruder constantly wiggle? Have you wasted countless hours fighting with eccentric nuts? Do your palm wheels look like this? Has this ever happened to you? Again? More palm wheel dust! Do you have an Elegoo Neptune Plus or Max? Then you came to the right video, because today I'm going to show you how to replace the palm wheels in your printer with a TBS-Tron 3D Z-axis linear rail kit. Welcome to part 2 of our video, A Path to Max Evolution, X, Y, and Z rails, where we installed the 3 linear rail kits from TBS-Tron 3D for the Neptune 3 Max. In the previous part, we lubricated all of the rails and then installed the X and Y rail kits. Today, we will be installing the Z-axis kit. But if you haven't already cleaned and lubricated your rails, I recommend you jump over to the first video, link in the description, before beginning the installation. Now, before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel, since we have a long list of exciting videos planned that I'm sure you're not going to want to miss. The first steps to installing the rails involves creating a few supplies that will be required while modifying the printer. During the installation of the rails, you will need to use 4 3D printed alignment guides to ensure the rails are straight and parallel. Unless you have another printer, you will need to print these prior to taking your printer apart. While TBS-Tron 3D provides a model file for the guides, link in the description, I created a remix which I recommend you use, link also in the description. The remix introduces 3 modifications. First, the remix lowers the installed location of the rails by 3 mm. While the original rail height is generally safe, the lower position provides a little more safety in case the printer bed is ever lowered, maybe by replacing the spacers or changing the hot end assembly. The main printer cable prevents the X-axis gantry from getting close to the top of the rail, so losing 3 mm in that end shouldn't affect anything. The second modification simplifies the model, making it easier to print without supports that could affect dimensional accuracy. The third modification introduces a new mini model that can be used to adjust the rails after the printer has been reassembled. For instance, if a rail becomes loose or ever needs to be repositioned. Unless you have a second printer, make sure to print to a version A and to a version B prior to taking apart your printer. I printed the 4 guides all at once with Newmaker's Pitch Black PLA Plus, and it took about 9.5 hours with 10% infill. In addition to printing the alignment guides, you'll want to prepare 5 foam blocks and 4 small pieces of paper. I created the foam blocks used in this video by cutting up the foam used to package the linear rail kit. 4 of the foam blocks and the pieces of paper will be used to prevent the printer's lead screws from moving or swaying while the top of the printer is removed. The height and width of these foam blocks isn't very important, but aim for about 35 mm wide and 50 mm high. The thickness, however, is important. Aim for about 18 mm. I found 2 layers of the bottom portion of the foam packaging from the linear rail kit was the perfect thickness. I cut out 8 pieces and glued them together using a glue stick to form the 4 blocks. The pieces of paper should have roughly the same height and width as the foam blocks. The 5th foam block is used to prevent the T-nuts from falling out of the top extrusion when the spool holder has been removed. The thickness of this block should be about 9 mm or 1 layer of the packaging foam. This piece should be about 16 mm wide by 50 mm long. While installing the Z-axis rail kit, the upper portion of the printer will need to be taken apart. During disassembly, you'll need to remove a lot of hardware, bolts, screws, washers, etc., that will need to be saved and then reused when the printer is put back together again. I've often found in these situations it's helpful to tape the hardware to a piece of paper to prevent things from getting lost or mixed up. To make this task a little easier for you, I've created a hardware storage sheet that you can use. The link to the PDF is available in the video's description. Okay, now that we have our alignment guides, foam blocks, paper, and hardware storage sheet, we're ready to start installing the linear rail kit. Step 1. Unload and remove filament. Step 2. Power off the printer. Additionally, disconnect the power cord and wait for the printer to fully cool down before proceeding with the next steps. Step 3. Disconnect the main printer cable. The cable connects to the hot end assembly, the X-axis limit switch, and the X-axis motor. Step 4. Detach the main printer cable clamp using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 5. Loosen the X-axis belt. Step 6. Detach the X-axis belt. Step 7. Remove the hot end assembly using a 3mm hex wrench. Step 8. Disconnect the filament runout sensor. Step 9. Clip the zip tie. Step 10. Insert foam blocks behind lead screws. There should be 4 foam blocks, 2 per lead screw. Step 11. Remove the support braces using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 12. Disconnect the lead screw nuts using a 2mm hex wrench and needle nose pliers. Step 13. Remove the filament spool holder using 2.5mm and 3mm hex wrenches. Step 14. Insert safety foam on top of both T-nuts. Use tape to secure in place. Step 15. Secure lead screws and foam blocks with tape and the previously prepared pieces of paper. The tape should be slightly loose and not applying any force to the lead screws. Step 16. Remove the top brackets with a 3mm hex wrench. Be careful to not knock off the top extension. Step 17. Remove the Z-axis belt using a 2mm hex wrench. Step 18. Disconnect the LED strip. Use the screws from the top brackets and a 3mm hex wrench to prevent the top extrusion from falling off. Step 19. Remove the top extrusion, carefully sliding the filament runout sensor wire and cover out of the channel. Step 20. Remove the X-axis gantry. Step 21. Remove the X-axis rail using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 22. Remove the X-axis gantry end caps and belt using a 2mm hex wrench. Step 23. Remove the palm wheel assemblies using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 24. Disassemble the palm wheel assemblies using a 3mm hex wrench and an 8mm socket. The removed hardware will no longer be needed. Additionally, the two back brackets will also no longer be needed. Step 25. Assemble the right rail assembly using 2.5mm and 3mm hex wrenches and a 7mm wrench. Ensure the QL stamp on the front bracket is facing up when you start and is facing out when you are done. Use 6 M5 by 8mm screws and 4 M3 by 6mm screws. When attaching the lead screw nut mount, push up to help ensure it is level. Step 26. Assemble the left rail assembly using 2.5mm and 3mm hex wrenches and a 7mm wrench. Use 6 M5 by 8mm screws and 4 M3 by 6mm screws. When attaching the lead screw nut mount, push up to help ensure it is level. Step 27. Attach the rail assemblies to the X-axis gantry using previously removed screws and a 2.5mm hex wrench. Ensure the assemblies are oriented correctly and are attached to the correct side of the extrusion. Step 28. Reattach the right X-axis gantry end cap and tension knob using previously removed screws and a 2mm hex wrench. Step 29. Reattach the left X-axis gantry end cap using previously removed screws and a 2mm hex wrench. Step 30. Reattach the X-axis rail using previously removed screws and a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 31. Install screws and T-nuts in the Z-axis rails using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Use 24 M3 by 8mm bolts and 24 M3 T-nuts. Positioning the rails on two small boxes or other supports is recommended to make this task a little easier. Step 32. Ensure the lead screw nuts are at the same height. Use of a ruler or other measuring device is recommended. Step 33. Reinstall the X-axis gantry. Take care while performing this step to prevent scratching the frame or damaging the lead screws. Step 34. Remove the 4 foam blocks. Step 35. Attach the lead screw nuts using the previously removed screws, split washers, and nuts using a 2mm hex wrench. The screws need to remain loose so you don't get Z-banding. Step 36. Attach bottom alignment guides, ensuring the linear guide rail and recesses are up on both guides. Step 37. Install both linear rails using a 2.5mm hex wrench and making sure the carriages do not slide off the edges of the rails. Do not crank down on the screws at this time. Step 38. Remove the alignment guides. Step 39. Screw in the linear rail carriages using 8 M3 by 6mm screws and a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 40. Install the Z-axis belt, but do not tighten the nuts. Ensure you can see both set screws on each nut, otherwise you will be unable to tighten them later. For each nut, the side with the teeth should be up and the side with the set screws should be down. Step 41. Place the top extension on top of the printer, sliding the filament runout sensor wire and cover into the channel. Step 42. Reattach the top brackets using a 3mm hex wrench and the 4 previously removed screws. Step 43. Remove the safety foam. Step 44. Reconnect the LED strip. Step 45. Tighten the Z-axis belt nuts using a 2mm hex wrench. Use a 3mm hex wrench to ensure the nuts are the same distance from the top brackets. Step 46. Reattach the support braces using the 4 screws and 2 washers previously removed. Use a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 47. Verify the X and Z frame is square. Use the machinist square or anything similar with a 90-degree angle to ensure there is a 90-degree angle between the frame and the printer base. Step 48. Replace the zip tie. Step 49. Reattach the hot end assembly using the 2 previously removed screws and a 3mm hex wrench. Step 50. Reattach the spool holder using the 2 previously removed screws and a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 51. Reconnect the filament runout sensor and tighten the mounting screw using a 3mm hex wrench. Step 52. Reconnect the main printer cable. This cable has 3 connectors, one for the hot end assembly, one for the X-axis limit switch, and one for the X-axis motor. Step 53. Reattach the main printer cable clamp using the previously removed screw and a 2.5mm hex wrench. Step 54. Reattach the X-axis belt. Step 55. Tighten the X-axis belt. Step 56. Reconnect the power cord. Step 57. Tighten the Z-axis rails and verify homing. At the same time, use a small mirror to verify the rail carriages will not reach the edges of the rails. Now we are finished installing all 3 of the linear rail kits, the Z-axis kit in this video and the X and Y kits in the previous. While we will leave performing a thorough test of the modification's performance to a follow-up video, I did print a couple of test Buddhas to ensure everything is working correctly. The first Buddha, printed in Newmaker's Atomic Pink PLA Plus, used the pre-sliced file that was included with the printer. That print is being shown in the time-lapse video. For the second Buddha, also printed in Newmaker's Atomic Pink PLA Plus, we resliced the model since Newmaker's PLA Plus filament generally requires slightly higher temperatures than Elegoo PLA. Now, with both Buddhas printed, we can compare them to the 2 Buddhas from the previous video. The first, on the left, was printed in the printer's original stock configuration using the white filament provided with the printer. Next, we have the Buddha printed in part 1 of this video. It was printed with Newmaker's Pitch Black PLA Plus after the X and Y rails were installed. On the right, we have the 2 Buddhas we just printed. While the overall print quality between the 4 is very similar, a few minor differences are noticeable. Ignoring any differences related to printing at a lower temperature, there is a chance the Z-axis modification introduced a tiny amount of Z-banding in the pink Buddhas. However, even with the pink filament making print issues easier to notice than the black or white filament, I needed to use a loupe to really be able to see any issues. While more testing would be required to determine if the Z-axis modification is actually affecting print quality, one area of the modification that could be the culprit is how the lead screw nuts attach to the X-axis gantry. Here is one of the original brackets that connected to the lead screw nuts. Unlike with this bracket, the brackets in the linear rail kit rotate how the lead screw nut is mounted by 90 degrees. Also, the holes for the mounting screws in the original bracket are round, while the holes in the new brackets are more oval-shaped, potentially limiting the amount of movement available to the lead screw nuts. The Z-axis linear rail kit did include a custom 3D printed Z-axis decoupler kit, but since the lead screw mounting method already includes some decoupling, and the decoupler kit really only helps if the printer isn't square or the lead screws are bent, I didn't install it in this video. While more thorough testing is required to find the source of the Z-banding, if it's related to the lead screw nut mounting, I'll probably attempt to open up the mounting holes in the brackets from the linear axis kit instead of installing a separate decoupling kit. Well, there you have it. The 3 linear rails have been installed and we verified the printer is still working. If you have any questions or issues following along with the video, please let me know in the comments. We have a long list of exciting new videos planned, including further testing the linear rail modifications. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.